So that is the direct bus to Guatemala City from Panajachel. Welcome to this episode of Fast Fred Travels. We will explore how to travel from Panajachel to Guatemala City. Hi, my name is Fast Fred. I'm a river guide that wanders the Americas during the long off season. If you're here to learn travel hacks and tips, you're in the right place. I got up early this morning researching for this video and the next leg of my trip. This video explores how to travel from Panajachel to Guatemala City, as well as the reverse trip, and how to navigate to and from the international airport at Guatemala City. To simplify things, I'm going to give you the prices in dollars. Realize you'll be paying in the local currency. First, we will explore the way to travel between Panajachel and Guatemala City. There are three primary methods: bus, shuttle, or car. The first being the least expensive and the last being the most expensive. While I typically find no need to rent a car in Latin America, some prefer to do that. Traveling by taxi, Uber, or a private driver are all likely to cost you roughly $100 USD, of course, and all have the advantage of taking less time, as they won't have to stop for other passengers. Shuttles will reach a middle ground with more direct travel, but could, in some cases, involve a side trip to Antigua, which may negate some of the advantages, and they generally cost around $40 per person. This does vary. Shop around if that's the trip you want to take. The bus is the most frugal choice with an expected cost of less than $10. Chicken buses are retired public school buses from the United States, much like the rafting buses that I ride in all summer long at work. The buses are referred to as chicken buses due to the transportation of all things, including livestock and chickens, according to most, but they also play chicken with oncoming traffic while trying to pass the other chicken buses to get more customers at the next stop. Hence, that's why many of us call them chicken buses, especially those of us who have ridden them a lot. Bus options include a few direct buses early in the morning from Panajachel. I will list those in the description below, but suffice it to say, the first one of the more desirable ones, comes at 4:30 a.m. in the morning to Panajachel, and the second one is at 5 a.m., both by the same company. You can catch it in several locations within Panajachel, or you can wait at a fire station almost across the street from the Texaco gas station on the principal street. One obvious advantage of the two direct buses is not having to change buses along the way. Another perk is there is much lighter traffic in the morning, hence you'll make better time. Additionally, this option will avoid a side trip to Antigua. If you want to see a full list of all the towns you will encounter along the way on the direct route, check out the description below. It lists all of them. They're on the route. They're not side trips, but the bus does stop and pick up additional passengers along the way, much like most buses in Latin America do, with the exception of some serious direct buses in Peru I've ridden in the past. The cost of taking the direct bus is expected to be less than $10. I understand there are a couple additional direct buses later in the morning, but I have less information about these and their companies. Of course, they will encounter more traffic and potentially be more crowded being later in the day. This isn't always true. Sometimes morning buses get really busy with workers in their morning commute. However, those people generally only ride from one city to the next, so they're not going to be along for the full ride. So that's not such a big issue in my opinion. Random chicken buses later in the day work as well, but you will have to change buses frequently along the route at several towns and cities. You may or may not be able to avoid a side trip to Antigua, but if you know where you're going, you might be able to hop off at the spur and try to flag down the next bus as it comes along. If you choose to take the bus option, then it has been recommended to me to get off at Miraflores in Guatemala City. There's a really large mall there, but there's also a very interesting museum nearby. A great place to while away some time waiting for your hotel. A lot of the hotels have late check-ins around 3 p.m. Another reason for getting off at Miraflores and checking out the mall is this is an excellent place to catch a authentic official taxi. Don't take a chance on rogue taxis, especially if you're carrying all your gear and luggage. You are marked as a target, and well, sometimes bad things happen anywhere, including Chicago, definitely here in Latin America as well. I understand that the location of the bus terminal is in a rather sketchy part of town, and for that reason is not the best place to catch a taxi. Now, for those of you flying into Guatemala City, you might be more interested in reverse direction. So traveling from Guatemala City to Panajachel, you would take a Uber or a taxi from your hotel to the bus terminal. You can get more details in the description below to make it easier to arrange this. However, if you're at the airport, your only real option will be to go to one of the taxi stands of the companies officially allowed to operate from the airport, and you'll probably pay like a 10Q surcharge, which is less than $2. Not a big deal. You could probably walk down the street and try to flag down a taxi, but the risk of safety, especially carrying all your possessions with you, obviously with your luggage on hand, probably isn't worth it. Stay tuned. I will provide additional video content regarding my experience taking this route as a first-timer soon. So you'll get to see and hear how I feel about the experience. Based on my previous shuttle experiences, I think this will be better because I won't have to wait for the lowest common denominator or weakest link in the chain of gringos or ride all around town while they collect them at each hostel and hotel. That was a real drag in a previous trip I did. And you may have seen the video and heard what I had to say about that. If you didn't, you might want to go check it out. It's my trip from San Cristobal, Mexico to Panajachel, Guatemala, crossing the Mexico-Guatemalan border. Pretty entertaining, I think. This might be my first time doing it. However, I do have a network of contacts and friends that do provide a lot of helpful intel. This video is the result from my own research and those of my friends and some of the hobos. And you can learn more about them at everydayhobo.com if you would like to follow the link in the description. If you're still feeling uneasy winging this on your own, consider hiring a private driver like Roberto Hernandez. You can reach him by way of WhatsApp, and I have placed his number in the description below. You can also reach him at everydayhobo.com. He is one of the verified hobos, so he's a safe person to deal with. In addition to driving, he can also assist you with translation services. So if this is your guy, if you have a language issue. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, please hit the like button and leave comments. What did you find helpful? What would you add? And I'd really appreciate it if you share it with your friends that might also enjoy this, or maybe they're planning a trip to Guatemala and like some inside knowledge. This channel is supported by viewers like you. Consider subscribing. The following folks have made donations or rafted with me and made this content possible. Shout out to Cat's Deli. I really missed the warm conversations, the awesome coffee, and the great food. What an awesome way to start your morning. If you're in the Copper Hill or McKaysville area, drop by and tell Nancy Fred said hi. And check out the state line for a great photo op while you're there. This video explores how to travel. God. I need a little beer.